Hey everybody, welcome back to When Harry Met Board Games, where we feed our people with relatable content, and our victory condition is your satisfaction. I'm Harry, and today we have another episode of Board Game Playthrough. Today I'll be playing through Race for the Galaxy, and in particular, I'm going to be playing with the solo variant, the solo mode that is found in the Gathering Storm expansion, which is the first expansion to this game. Race for the Galaxy is one of my favorite games of all time. And I find that this solo variant is highly functional. So, first of all, you set up the game similar to your regular, typical two-player game. Now, we have these player aids, which are very helpful because there is lots of symbology in Race for the Galaxy. We have our shuffled deck of cards right here. The human player will start with a hand of 6 cards from which they must discard 2 of those cards and be left with just a hand of 4. And I'm just going to make this decision here real quick. I'm going to discard 1 and I am going to discard 2. There we go. Now, the dummy player is going to start with a deck of 4 cards. And this is very key because it's from these cards right here that the dummy player will be able to make decisions and add to their tableau going forward. Now, this dummy player will be starting with the Old Earth as their starting planet, and I'll be starting with New Sparta. This hexagonal symbol here indicates how much victory points this will give me at the end of the game, and the number in the circle says either how much military, if it's surrounded by a red border, or if it's surrounded by a black border, how much money I must spend to settle these planets. But again, we each start with a starting planet. So right now, the dummy player has a 2 to 1 point advantage. The game ends once a player has either built 12 cards in their tableau, combination of planets and developments, and or when the victory point tokens, which we have 24 of them in a 2-player game, when they run out. Those are the 2 endgame scoring conditions. Endgame conditions. So now the dummy player also gets this little tile, and there's these tiles for all the different starting planet that the dummy player might have. So because they're starting with the numbered planet 0, Old Earth, they have this tile here, and this tile basically tells you what the wild side of this 6-sided dice here do for this particular dummy player, because you will be rolling dice to determine the actions of the dummy player. Also, there's a way of modifying the difficulty by having a certain amount of these tokens here that represent developments that give 6 victory points or more. So basically, if you want the game to be easy, there's only 1 of these that will be available. If you want the game to be medium level, you'll make 2 of them available. And if you want the game to be extra hard, you flip them over to the other side, where instead of them being worth 6 victory points, they're now worth 9 victory points, and you include 3 of them in this game. I have no desire to compete that strongly, so I will just play easy mode with just 1 of these here on the side. So that's a possibility for them to get. Okay, so there's that. So here, right here, this is the bread and butter of the solo mode, this little player board here. And this basically keeps track of everything. First of all, you're not going to be using your action cards as in a typical multiplayer Race for the Galaxy game. Instead, you're going to be indicating and choosing your 2 actions by placing these little player tokens on the action that you are selecting, right? And then you're going to be rolling the dice for the dummy player, and based on what they roll, you will place the die on the slot corresponding with the action that they rolled. Whenever they roll one of these actions that have more than 1 slot, for example, the research, the development, and the settle actions each have two slots for them, you're always going to pick the leftmost slot for the dummy player. Also, if they ever roll this side of the die, that little asterisk, then you place them on the rightmost action that the human player used. And this basically represents the fact that the dummy player is copying your action, right? So there is that. You also you have these two tracks here on the upper corner. You have your economy track, which can go from 0 to 5. The dummy player will start with a 0, an economy of 0. And you have here your credit track, which ranges from 0 to 4, and the dummy player will start with 1 credit. And this is basically the two currencies that they will be managing in order to build cards, right? Pay for the cost of cards with their credit. And with their economy, that will determine their production for victory points victory point tokens going forward in the future, right? So you have all of this available. Also, by the way, right here, you'll see everything that happens to the dummy player when they trigger an event by choosing it themselves, an action by choosing it themselves. However, on the bottom row over here, you see their benefits for every action that they're responding to. That means the actions that the human player chose and that the dummy player is just piggybacking on. Okay, so there's that. By the way, there's some of these modular tiles corresponding with some of the robots, depending on their starting planets, that you actually add to slightly change the board to accommodate the strategy of that robot player. That's the really cool thing about this solo variant, is that every robot player with their different starting planet will have a slightly different approach, a slightly different strategy to the game. Okay, so I believe that's pretty much it. So we're just going to get started with this game. So I am going to choose 2 actions that I want to execute. And I think I'm going to pick research. I want to research, and I want to do the first research action, which allows me as the active player to draw 3 cards and keep 2 of them. And for my second action, I am going to choose to develop, right? And there's 2 develop actions. I'll just choose the first one. And now we will roll for the dummy player. And the dummy player, oh, really, really important. First of all, they have this diamond here, which is the develop symbol. I forgot to specify that we have this, where is it? There's a robot symbol. I think it's only on one of them right here. This little robot symbol, whenever we roll this, it just means that it will do whatever symbol is indicated on the robot tile, which in this case is the $sign, which refers to the trade action. So we rolled the trade and we rolled the development. So we place this on the leftmost of the 2 development slots, and we're going to place this on the trade slot right here. So these are the actions that are going to take place. We both chose to develop. So first we're going to we trigger the actions from left to right. First we start with the research phase, where I will draw 3 cards. And I have to keep 2 of these. And I'm just going to discard this Plague World right here. Doesn't serve my purposes. Just put it in this little messy discard pile. You keep it face down. Well, I guess in a solo game, it doesn't matter. In the multiple player game, you keep it face down so your opponents don't know what necessarily may or may not still be in the deck, right? So I'm going to keep the other 2 cards. And now we're going to trigger for the dummy player. We're not going to trigger one of the top actions because they didn't choose. They're just responding to my action. We're going to trigger this bottom action, which just says draw 1 card. So we draw 1 card and add it to their deck, which remember started with 4 cards. So now they have 5 cards in their deck. Okay, then we continue, we proceed. We're going to do the development phase. And as for me, I get to develop by paying 1 less money, and the cards themselves are the money. Every card is worth just 1 money by discarding it. And I'm going to pay 1 less to develop. So I'm going to develop right here this you know what? No, I'm actually going to develop this. I'm going to develop the Expedition Force, and it costs 1. That right there, that number in the diamond is the price, the cost to build this development. However, because I chose the develop action, I get to pay 1 less. So I will put that right there for free. And now the dummy player is gonna develop as well. And because they chose to develop as their action as well, first things first, is they are going to gain, they're going to spend 2 credit, if possible, if they have 2 credit, but they do not. They only have 1 credit, so they wouldn't be doing it. They could pay 2 credit to just get this 6 victory point value development tile. So even if they're not lucky enough to draw any valuable developments, this is a guarantee of at least 1 very valuable victory point tile. So it's a good thing they don't have that just yet, but they will eventually. Then, because they chose develop, they will draw a card and add it to their deck. And now they are going to flip and reveal from their deck until they reveal a development card. And once they reveal a development card, they get to acquire that development card for free. Unless it's a development card of 6 cost or higher, then they're going to have to pay 1 of their credits in order to acquire it. So let's see what happens. In the event that they don't draw any development cards, which is highly unlikely, then they basically just had a dud of a turn. So we're going to see this here. This is not development, so this is going to be discarded. That's another thing. The revelation of more cards weakens and dwindles down their stack. Here's another planet. So those are 2 planets in a row that will be discarded. And here we have a development, and it is a 6 cost, 6 victory point development. So we will put this aside and or we will establish this right here, and we will get we will reduce their credit by 1. So with these high value developments, usually with a regular human player, there's specific conditions that you need to meet in order to maximize or optimize its scoring. However, for the dummy player, this is just an automatic 6 victory points for them at the end of the game. So now we will move on. We're done with the development phase, and we will move on to the trade phase, which was the action selected by the dice roll of the dummy player. And basically what they do, first of all, you must increase its credit by 2. So you just move this over 2 spaces. Then it scores victory points equal to its economy size. And its current economy size is a donut, a big fat 0. So they're not going to score any points right now for that. However, another very important thing that happens is that now you will trade this. This is particularly for the old Earth number 0 robot. You will now, after you've triggered its first trade action, you will actually change its tile for another tile, which is this one here. And this one here has the ×2 symbol. So now that means that every time it rolls the robot symbol, it will trigger the ×2 action over here, right over there. Okay. And then we are done. Okay, so we've switched that over and we are done. Okay, so now we are done with the first turn and we will move on to the next turn. Let's remove the dice right here. Let's remove the player action tiles right there. And let's see what I want to choose for my next turn. So for this turn now, I am going to choose, I want to do some more research. I really need some research, but this might help me with developments going forward. That's not a bad card to play. I'm going to do some research. I desperately need to research. And I'm also going to do, both these research actions. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to research these actions twice. Okay, I really want to research. All right, so here we go. All right, so first of all, we rolled the I, which is the research. We placed it on the leftmost spot. It doesn't really matter because now they will do their own action and then they'll piggyback off that one. And we rolled the robot. And again, the robot for this particular AI player, that represents the ×2 action, which is the consumption for twice as much victory points. Okay, so now we're going to go from left to right. We're going to start with research. I'm going to do first. And I picked first the draw 3 cards and keep 2 of them. However, because I have this expedition force, which as you could see here in phase 1, which is the research phase, it lets me see one more card. I don't get to keep one more card, but I get to see one more card. So I will draw a fourth card, and I get to keep 2 out of these. I think I'm going to keep the Alien Rosetta Stone. It looks really interesting. And I'm going to keep the Galactic Survey Seti. So I'll discard these 2 cards right there. And now this dummy player will piggyback, or actually they chose their own. They're going to get to draw 1 card, add it to their stack, and they also get to increase their credit by 1. So now they're getting pretty rich here, and they can do lots of stuff. Now we're going to do my second research action, which this one allows me, instead of your usual typical research action, which is draw 2 cards and keep 1, this allows me to draw 5 additional cards. So I'm going to be able to draw 7 cards. However, I could still only keep 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I could only keep 1 of these cards. Which one interests me the most? You know what? I think I'm going to take this Galactic Trendsetters right here. All right, and we're done. And now the dummy player will piggyback on me, and the only thing they get to do is draw 1 card and add it to their deck. Then we're going to go all the way over here, and again, we're doing the consumption phase, which I cannot consume any goods because my planets do not have any goods. First of all, I only have 1 planet, and it's not even a production world. That gray shaded in color indicates that it's a non-production world. If it was a production world and it had a product or a good, it would look something like that, just a card slid underneath it. So I can't do anything, but the dummy player is not going to do anything either, because normally what they would do is they would score twice as many points as their economy size, but they do not have an economy size. Right now their economy size is 0. Okay, so we're done. At the end of the turn, you got to make sure that you have 10 or less cards, which I do. And if you have more than 10 cards, you're going to have to discard down to 10. All right, so let's clear these dice over here. Let's clear these tokens. And let's see what I want to do this turn. Let's see. I have a couple developments here that really intrigue me. So I think, yeah, I am going to, I have just enough to be able to do that. That wouldn't be bad. I think, yeah, I think I'm gonna research one more time, and I'm also going to develop. Now we're gonna roll the dice and see what the dummy player does. Okay, so they rolled 2 asterisks, which means they're gonna copy both of my actions, which means we're pretty much gonna do the same thing this turn, and there's not gonna be much done. So the first thing we're gonna do is gonna research. I'm gonna draw 3 cards, and I gotta keep 2 of them. Ooh, this Separatist Colony does not look bad. I think I might grab that one. And you know what? For now, I'll keep these 2. Okay, we're done with that. Now they are going to do it, and because they actually rolled it as an action, they get to draw 1 card and increase their credit by 1. So now their credit is at the maximum capacity. The second action we both chose was to develop. I am going to develop. I'm going to develop one of these cities here. I actually think I am going to, let's see, +2. I already have enough. I'm going to develop this. I need 5 cards. I really want to keep some of these. This is really tough. But you know what? I'm going to have to make a very tough decision. I will. I'm going to develop this Galactic Survey Seti here, which will allow me to look at 2 additional cards every time I do the research action. It'll give me 1 victory point for every development with an Explore power, which I already have 1, and this would be 2. It'll give me 2 victory points for every world with an Explore power, and it'll give me 1 victory point for every other world. So I have to pay 6 minus 1 because I chose the development action. So I have to discard 5 of these cards. So let's see which ones I'm willing to get rid of. I think I might just do these 5 right here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to exchange this one for this. So these 5 cards, which is painful to do, I will pay in order to build the Galactic Survey Seti. And now the dummy player has also chosen to develop. So the first thing we do is we see if it has money. Where is it right here? Okay. We see if it has 2 or more credit, which it does. And if it does, and there's an available development token, then it could buy it by paying those 2. So we'll decrease their credit by 2. And now they have this 6 additional points in their tableau. So as you can see, the dummy player is doing very well. Then we draw 1 card. And now we're going to flip and reveal until a development is shows up. All right. This is a planet, so no good. This is another planet, still no show. Another planet, so they're going to lose lots of cards for this one. And then finally, a 6-point development, which means they have to pay 1 in order to build this. Okay, so this is looking really dangerous for me because as of now, they have 18, 20 points and they only have 3 cards in their tableau. Okay, so we are done with this round. Let's remove this from the table here. And now we will proceed with future turns. Okay, so I've got lots of these little research abilities, which are amazing. And I think I'm just going to keep on capitalizing on those. So for now, let me see. I'm going to research. Definitely want to research. I get to look at additional cards. And I'm going to settle. I'm going to choose to settle. I'm going to place this right here, which is going to allow me to settle a planet. Okay, and now we're going to roll the die for the dummy player's actions. And we've got the development, so they're going to develop, and I could piggyback on that. And the robot, which according to this particular AI player is the ×2, the consumption action. All right, so we move from left to right. I chose to research, so I will draw 3 cards, plus 1 for this one and 2 for that one. So that's a total of 6 cards, but I still only can keep 2 of them. I'm going to consider keeping the Space Marines and this terraformed world because it's lots of victory points. Okay, and now the dummy player did not choose it, but they'll piggyback on me and they'll draw 1 card. Now we'll move on to development, where it was the dummy player's action. What they will do is we'll check if they have a credit of 2, which they don't, and they no longer have the 6-point development tiles available anyways. So that part of their action will now be bypassed. We will draw a card for them, and now we will flip until a development is revealed. And the first one happens to be a development. And because it costs less than 6, they actually get this development for free. How about that? Okay, now I have the opportunity to develop if I so please. And the thing is, I don't know if I want to get rid of these cards. But you know what? I am going to make some tough decisions here. I want to keep these developments. I want to keep this separatist colony. I'm going to discard these 2 cards right here in order to build this Space Marine development, which will give me additional military, which I already have military of 3. This will bring my military up to 5, which means when I settle military worlds, I will be able to afford to settle military worlds that are cost 5 and lower. Okay, so I settled that. Now we move on to the settlement phase, which is the one that I chose. Oh, you know what? I'm walking that back. I will not be able to do that and still settle, which is the action that I chose. So I'm going to walk that back because I really do want to settle. And oh goodness. Okay, so let's figure this out, Harry. Let's figure this out. I'm gonna bypass on that. I'm just gonna settle this planet right here, which still costs me 2, so I still will have to discard 2 cards. So here we go. I will discard these 2 right here. I'm gonna discard them for as painful as that might be. And because I chose the settlement action, I get to draw a card at the end of my settlement phase. Now, the dummy player gets to piggyback on my settlement. And if they have money, which they still do have 1 credit, they will draw 2 cards. And now they will flip until a planet is shown up. And this is a planet. And they will pay 1 for this planet. And this planet happens to be a planet that gives 0 victory points. So I'm not complaining. Okay, so we will move on. We will remove these dice, take these off, and let's move on to the next turn. And let's see what I want to do here. I am going to, can't pass up on the opportunity of, researching, because I get so many cards when I research, so that's amazing. I'm gonna have 2 more cards. That's still not gonna be enough. I'm gonna do additional research. Okay, so let's see what this dummy player rolls. So first of all, they're gonna do some research as well, and they're also gonna do some consumption. Oh, you know what? I forgot last time we did this action. Not only do they score victory points, but they also increase their economy track. So I messed up with that one. I apologize to the dummy player if its feelings were hurt. So you increase the economy size by 1. Okay, so that is very, very, very important. I forgot about that. So again, they rolled the robot, which in this case is the consumption action that they're going to take. And now we move from left to right. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to research, and I'm going to draw 3 cards, +1, +2, +2. So that's a total of 8. And I can only keep 2 of these cards. So I am going to keep this Lost Alien Battle Fleet. That's a very valuable card. And I'm going to choose this Rebel Colony right there. Okay, so we are done with that. Okay, and now the dummy player is going to draw 1 card. Now we move on to the second research action. Well, actually, no, wait. For their first, they actually chose that. So they get 1 card plus 1 increased credit. Now for the second research action, I would normally draw 7, but in this case, I'm going to draw 5 more. So I'm going to draw 12 of these bad boys here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I could only keep 1 of these. Oh my goodness, this is a tough one. But you know what? I'm going to make the tough decision of keeping this development here, the drop ships, which will add to my military might, which I really need. You know what though? Oh, I might be able to get the New Galactic Order. I might not keep that one. You know what? For now, I'm going to see if I can wing it with this Alien Tech Institute. That's going to be a very valuable card if I'm able to play it down. And the dummy player will piggyback on my second research action by drawing 1 card. Then we move all the way to the right to the consumption phase, which I will not be able to piggyback because I still don't have any products or even production worlds. And then the dummy player is going to score twice as much victory points to their current economy size, which is 1. So we're going to add 2 of these victory point tokens to their tableau, which they're doing very well for themselves. And we're going to increase their economy size by 1. And this is pretty much what the game looks like for those familiar with Race for the Galaxy. This gives you a very competent opponent, and also an opponent that's going to vary from game to game, because basically you have 8 different options as to, you know, the different starting planets and the different particular strategies which these different AIs or robot players will implement. If you like Race for the Galaxy and you like playing solo mode of any type of games, then this is a must buy for you. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here on Harry Met Board Games. This is Harry saying take care, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have fun gaming. Check you later. Bye-bye.